Hello, listeners, and welcome to the first of two Valentine's Day specials for Second Take Cinema. Today, we travel back to 2004, where I have finally seen a film that has been recommended to me many times before, and somehow I missed it. So join us on a very special episode as we give a second take to The Notebook. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a very special episode today, an episode I'd like to subtitle Rory is a Hypocrite.
Okay.
Directed by Nick Cassavetes and based on a novel by Nicholas Sparks, the film stars Rachel McAdams, Ryan Gosling, James Garner, Gina Rowlands, and James Marsden. It was made in 2004 for a budget of $29 million, and it made $117.8 million. It is regarded as a cult classic. It has a 53% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. The website's critical consensus reads, "It's hard not to admire its unabashed sentimentality, but The Notebook is too clumsily manipulative to rise above its melodramatic cliches." Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times praised the film, awarding it 3.5 stars out of 4, calling the photography striking in its rich, saturated effects, and stating that the actors are blessed by good material. Peter Lowry of Film Threat, that's a weird name, isn't it? Film Threat. We're gonna kill you with film. So, are we threatening the film, or are we filming a threat? Like, what are we doing here, do we think? Peter Lowry of Film Threat gave the film 3.5 stars out of 5, praising the performances of both Gosling and McAdams. He wrote, "Gosling and especially McAdams give all-star performances, doing just enough to hand the reins over to the pros who take what's left of the film and finish the audience off with some touching scenes that don't leave a dry eye in the house." About the film itself, he added, "Overall, The Notebook is a surprisingly good film that manages to succeed where many other chick flick-like romances fail." Stephen Holden of the New York Times gave the film a positive review, stating that the scenes between the young lovers confronting adult authority have the same seething tension and lurking hysteria that the young Warren Beatty and Natalie Wood brought more than 40 years ago to their roles in Splendor in the Grass. I've never heard of that.
No.
Anne Hornaday from the Washington Post also gave the film a positive review, praising both Gosling and McAdams, stating, "Never mind that McAdams and Gosling don't for a minute call to mind 1940s America. They're both suitably attracting and appealing. Gosling, who delivered a searing and largely unseen screen debut performance in the 2001 drama The Believer, is particularly convincing as a young man who charms his way past a girl's strongest defences." Don't phrase it that way.
That sounds
Sounds rapey.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like the romance of the film, does it? Jeez.
No. About the film, she added, "Audiences craving big, gooey, over-the-top romance have their must-see summer movie in The Notebook." And
Gooey.
You just get some contrasting. Wesley Morris of the Boston Globe gave the film 2.5 stars, praising the performance of the cast members, writing about McAdams that she's soulfully committed to the suds in the story and fiercely attentive to the other actors. He added about Gosling is adept at playing sociopaths and intense brooders, and there's reason to think early on that Noah might be similarly off, as when he threatens to drop from a Ferris wheel unless Ali agrees to go on a date with him. About the film he wrote, "Considering the sunny, relatively pleasurable romantic business that precedes it, the elderly stuff seems dark, morbid, and forced upon us. Jessica Winter of The Village Voice gave the film a mixed review, stating, amid the sticky sweet swamp of Jeremy Levin's script, Rowlands and Garner emerged spotless and beatific, lending a magnanimous credibility to their scenes together. These two old pros slice cleanly through the thicket of sap-weeping dialogue and contrivance, locating the terror and desolation wrought by the cruel betrayals of a failing mind. Jesus Christ, that person should be a writer. Robert Kohler of Variety also gave the film a mixed review. He, however, praised the performances, writing that already one of the most intriguing young thesps, Gosling extends his range to pure romance without sacrificing a bit of his naturally subversive qualities, and even seems comfortable looking beautiful in a manly American way. The head-turner is McAdams, doing such a different performance from her top bitch in Mean Girls that it's hard to tell it's the same actor. I'm shocked that it's the same year.
Yeah.
I did not realise it was the same year.
Yeah, I mean, it's a
Notebook.
very different type of performance.
Or completely different.
Yeah.
She skillfully carries much of the film's emotional weight with a free and easy manner. In June 2010, Entertainment Weekly included Ali and Noah in its list of the 100 greatest characters of the last 20 years. The periodical listed The Notebook in their 25 sexiest movies ever, and Us Weekly included the film in its list of the 30 most romantic movies of all time. There was, in 2015, a television adaptation announced, but it never turned up.
There's no point. There's just no point.
Yeah, it never turned up. And then they did a stage musical. Oh, in August 2023, it was announced that the show would be opening on Broadway in spring 2024.
So that's still to come this year.
The early reviews of it are surprisingly good. Okay, so we're about to talk about this here film. But before we do that, it's time to test Rostifer's knowledge. So today, I'm not going to lie, I couldn't find a theme to base the questions around this time. So this is more
What are the wettest, gooeyest films?
Well, I did think, but I thought there was no way in hell you would know them.
No.
Because even I didn't know most of them. I did consider getting you to name all 11 Nicholas Sparks films.
Who's Nicholas?
The writer of the book.
Oh.
11 of his books have been adapted into film. But even I had not heard of most of them.
Yeah.
And I like romance movies.
I don't know who Nicholas Sparks is, so yeah.
So instead, these are some more general questions, all based around the two leading actors.
Okay.
So they're all about Gosling or McAdams.
Okay.
Pretty much.
I will know more Gosling than I will Adams.
So question 1 and 2 are the same question because there's two answers.
Okay.
Ryan Gosling has been nominated for Best Actor twice. Both times were 10 years apart, exactly 10 years apart. Which two films was he nominated for?
What, for Best Actor?
Yeah.
Blade Runner 2049.
You think that's one of them?
I think that's one of them.
Okay. And then they were 10 years apart, so the other one must be 10 years before that.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Blade Runner. I may not know his other one. You know what? I'm going to stick with The Notebook first, even though I think it's 100% wrong.
I'll playing your odds, aren't you? Because then if you're wrong about Blade Runner, it could still be The Notebook.
Yeah, basically.
The first one is from 2007.
Okay.
Half Nelson. Yeah. And the second one, I'm afraid, is not Blade Runner. It is 2017's La La Land.
Oh, I didn't know he was in it. Okay. Isn't that Bradley Cooper?
No, you did this the other day on the quiz. No, A Star Is Born is Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. La La Land is Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone. You made this mistake the other day.
They're both dancing.
That's very interesting.
Honestly, I cannot differentiate the two.
They are completely different when we watch them. For which so Rachel McAdams has only ever been nominated for Best Supporting Actress.
Right.
What film was she nominated for?
I'm going to guess that's Mean Girls.
No, come on, be reasonable. You don't get nominated at the Oscars for a film like Mean Girls. It's a great film. I love it, but it's not an Oscar film.
I don't think it was The Notebook.
It wasn't. I'll give you a hint. It was in 2016, and it's a film where she plays a journalist, and it's a one-word title.
I'm going to be honest, I don't know much about McAdams'
Career. You may not like this quiz then, because there's a lot of McAdam's career questions going on.
Yeah, basically, I'll answer Mean Girls to all McAdam's questions.
Right.
No, so 2016, she plays a journalist, Annie.
It's Spotlight.
Fucking no way I was going to guess that.
Next question. Ryan Gosling
played
Neil Armstrong.
Did he?
In which film?
The did he probably shows I ain't got a fucking clue.
It was only a few years ago. It was about 2017 or 2018. It's a film about Neil Armstrong landing on the moon. It's directed by Damien Chazelle, I believe.
The World's Loneliest Man?
First Man.
Yeah.
This film, although it didn't win Oscars, this film won a prestigious MTV Movie Award.
Oh, everyone knows that MTV is all about film.
For Best Kiss. What film franchise won that award, Best Kiss, 4 consecutive years in a row from 2009 to 2012?
It's Twilight.
It's Twilight, well done. 4 years in a row.
Some fucking Burke. Was that the MTV award you said?
Yeah.
Also, well, that's why it doesn't count. They're fucking nuts.
By the way, you've got to get at least one of the questions right, because, let's be honest, a bit of a slight on you if the only question you got right is the one about Twilight.
Oh, no.
Next question, and this is the last one about MTV Movie Awards and kissing.
The sterling,
You'll be able to
diamond standard of movie making.
Oh, yeah. You'll be able to work this one out, too.
Oh.
So that same award, Best Kiss, which 2 actors won that award for an iconic superhero movie kiss?
Oh, God. It's going to be Tobey Maguire and Mary Antoinette, whatever her name is. Mary Jane, Kate and Ashley.
I'm going to give it to you. It's Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst! It's Kirsten Dunst for Spider-Man. The kissing
the
upside down in the rain, yeah. That is, to be fair, that is an iconic
Basically, the way you win this award is you kiss in the rain.
Yeah.
Noah and Ali kissed in the rain. Peter Parker and Mary Jane kissed in the rain.
Did they win the MTV Best Kiss Award?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's why I asked those questions.
I
didn't just randomly turn around and be like, let's just randomly ask an MTV Movie Award question.
Right, so whenever we make a film where anyone kisses...
in the rain.
Should we do it as a mum, a mum and son, though?
Oh, I'm not... Hey, according to search categories on Pornhub, people would love that.
Oh, no, that's disgusting.
Breakfast at Tiffany's ends with people kissing in the rain as well.
Yeah. MTV didn't exist back then, though, unfortunately.
So there's only one more question left, because much like the first question, where it was 2 questions worth, the next 4 questions are all the same question.
Right.
You may not know this, but there's actually a funny thing with Rachel McAdams' career.
Right.
That happened purely by accident. And it's a really interesting thing to have happened just by accident.
Name those 4 interesting things.
Rachel McAdams has appeared in 4 time travel movies, but is never the character that gets to time travel.
What, so it's actual time? Not like this where this time jumps back and forth.
No, I mean people travel in time.
Right.
She is in 4 of them,
Jeez.
but she is never, literally all within the space of about 6 years of each other.
Wow.
But she is never the one who gets to do the time travelling. Name those 4 films.
And I'm guessing they're not connected, they're just 4 random films.
They are 4 random films. It's insane. At one point, it was like she was doing it on purpose. It was literally I think.
They were like, do you want to do this one, Rachel? No, there's no time travelling that I'm not involved in.
I think 3 of them came out in a row. It honestly was like she's deliberately only doing time travel movies.
But only if she's not time travelling.
I thought she was trying to subtly hint that she was going to be the first female Doctor Who.
I mean, to be fair, it'd be a good way to come out, wouldn't it? Just be like, hey.
Right, God, name these 4 films.
I'm going to be honest, I won't know them, so I'm going to take some random pot shots at...
I can give some hints if you want.
Can you give me a hint as to the years?
Okay, the first one came out in 2009.
Right.
Do you want all the dates first?
Yeah, sure.
The second one came out in 2011. The next one in 2013. And the last one in 2016.
I'm going to be honest, I don't think I know this one. I honestly do not know it.
No, can't even take a stab.
I wouldn't know. I'm trying to think of time travel movies 2009, but Eric Banner's in it.
It's very interesting, isn't it, how people's different consumption of media affects like their knowledge as well.
Yeah.
Because like to me, I thought this was a film everyone knew existed.
Star Trek 2009. It's got Eric Bana.
But then you've got films that you think everyone knows exists, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. No, I'm gonna have to skip that one.
The Time Traveler's Wife.
Oh bollocks!
Sounds.
Isn't that a remake?
No, it's based on a book. And it's very interesting. It sounds good. Basically, he plays a man who has the ability to time travel, but the catch is he can't control it. It just happens.
Right.
He can only time travel, if I remember right, he can only time travel along his own timeline, so he can't go to, like, the Roman age or something.
Yeah, it's only his own lifespan.
But he just can't live a normal life.
He just bounces back and forth.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one is 2011.
Yep.
Her co-star in this is Owen Wilson. Wow. And it is directed by a dodgy character, Mr. Woody Allen.
Oh.
And it has the name of it's a 3-word title. And the last word is the name of a popular European city.
Yeah, I can't even guess this one.
Midnight in Paris.
Oh.
Okay, third one. This is a 2013 film directed by Richard Curtis, so this one's a British film. Right. She's the only American in it, if I remember right.
Okay.
It's a British film directed by Richard Curtis, most well known for being the director of Love Actually.
Yep.
And he also did a very good episode of Doctor Who called Vincent and the Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Her co-stars in this are Domhnall Gleeson and Bill Nighy.
I don't know it.
About time. Last one.
I was never going to guess that.
You've got a chance of getting this one, I think. 2016.
Mm-hmm. Directed
by Scott Derrickson. Part of a very large, very popular media franchise that absolutely, it basically has dominated film for the last decade.
What the franchise has?
The franchise has. And this film is part of the franchise. It's been the biggest film franchise of the last 10 years.
Because the biggest thing in the last 10 years is going to be the MCU.
It is an MCU movie. Now, I'm not going to tell you...
No, wait, what year was it? 2013?
2016.
Oh, it's way too late.
I'm not going to tell you who her main co-star is, because that will give it away. But other actors in the film are Tilda Swinton, Benjamin Bratt...
I thought you were going to say Benjamin Button.
Benedict Wong, and Mads Mikkelsen. And that might give it away, Mads Mikkelsen. It might do.
It will not.
And Chiwetel Ejiofor, who we saw in the Pod Generation.
Oh! Yeah, still don't know him from MCU.
It's really good, because if I told you the main guy, you'd know it.
Yeah, but only because
but that'd be like it'd be like saying Robert Downey Jr., you'd be like Iron Man.
Yeah. Oh, so it's Robert Downey Jr.
It's not.
But no, that's the point, isn't it? It's like... I can't... Oh, okay.
You probably can work out, of all the Avengers you've even just passingly heard of,
well, the only one
which one's most likely to time travel?
Well, the thing is, my first guess would have been bloody Captain America.
Right.
But he only travels one way once.
Yeah, that's more he gets cryogenically frozen.
Yeah. The only other one would be Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange is correct. Well done.
The thing is, most of what I know about Doctor Strange is he goes through dimensions, not time.
He has the time stone, and at the end of the film, the way he defeats the villain is by trapping himself and the villain in a time loop. So he consistently travels through time.
Right.
She plays the main love interest of Doctor Strange.
Right.
So well done, you got one. Which puts your total...
on 2.
for this, which is up to 3.
Oh, okay.
Because you got Doctor Strange and you got the 2 MTV Movie Award kissers. So what the lesson here, audience, is that Rory is a keen supporter of the MTV Movie Awards, particularly their Best Kiss category. In fact, I think he might be the judge who assigns the award.
I mean...
You just love them Twilight movies, don't you?
Twilight is probably the greatest franchise ever conceived.
Yeah.
No.
No lies spoken here.
To be fair, the only thing I've ever watched on MTV, bear in mind, by the time I had access to MTV, it was, like, long past the time where it actually was music television. It was already, like, just crap. You know, when it's like, they just produce crap now, basically.
Oh, it's just reality shows.
Yeah, that's what I mean, crap.
We'll be right back after these commercials. Rory, you put this in the hat. Why did you want to review The Notebook?
Well, you said we had to do some romance stuff.
For Valentine's Day,
Yep.
of course.
I haven't seen many romance films, as would probably be very indicative by the quiz you just gave me. My knowledge of romance films is basically through the toilet. But this is one I had seen, one I had enjoyed, and I haven't seen it in years. I've only ever seen it the once. With an ex, it was very romantic. We both cried. It was a wonderful, not rom-com. It's just a romance film, romance drama experience. There is a few elements in this that strike well with me, from what I remembered, and to be fair, they did this time as well. So I figured, if I'm going to introduce something on this, The Notebook might be the more interesting one to go for.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, my go-to rom-com is actually The Proposal.
Sandy B and Ryan Reynolds.
Yes.
Before he got stuck in Deadpool gear.
Yes. That's my favourite. But it's obviously a comedy, whereas this is more of a drama.
Right.
So, yeah. Out of the two, this might be more interesting to discuss than The Proposal.
Right.
Because The Proposal, it's funny, and there's some bits we can discuss. But this has a lot more... I don't want to say the word artistry, because that sounds really...
wanky.
Yeah, but there is more to discuss, I think, in terms of the narrative.
Do you remember roughly when you first saw this? Was it like when it came out, or was it later than that?
It was later. It would probably be about 10 years ago.
So you just saw it at home, sort of thing?
Yeah, when it popped up on Netflix at some point, like early 2010s.
Okay.
Yeah, it wouldn't been like 2004. I wouldn't have been going to the cinema at that time with a girl.
Here's what I didn't know about The Notebook before we started. I didn't know it was a period piece.
Yes.
I had no idea it was set back in the past. I thought it was set modern day. All this time, all these years, I knew literally two things about The Notebook. That it had a guy called Noah and a girl called Ali. I knew that. I knew they kissed at some point, and I knew they kissed in the rain.
Yep.
That was it.
Yeah, we don't really know what the time frame is in the quote-unquote present time with the two older versions of them.
Yeah.
But even then, like, if this was set in... I mean, that could be the present day of
World War II.
Yeah, that could be the present of 2004, to be fair.
Could be.
Because if he was 20 when he fought in World War II, when that ended was 1944, 1945.
45.
Yeah, so that would have been 60 years later. They could have been in their 80s.
Yeah.
Is a potential.
Yeah.
So but realistically, it probably would have been set 80s, 90s. Yeah. But there's not really any huge major cues to give away when that is. Obviously, as you say, the bit in the past during World War II, that's very much set in stone as to when that is.
I'm going to get this out the way early on.
Yep.
Little uncomfortable. And I was a little unsure where this was set until World War II turned up. Because set in the South.
Yep.
And did you notice the race of all the help?
Yes.
And I'm not going to lie, I had a bit where I sat there going, are these slaves? Is this a slave thing?
Well, the black help in the film...
Oh, then again, I've just remembered it's America, innit? America didn't have... The civil rights movement wasn't until the 60s, was it, in America?
Right. Yeah, so they wouldn't have been slaves, but they would have basically been free people that had no alternative but to continue doing the jobs that they had done prior.
Very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's suggestive of her family specifically, because Ryan Gosling's character, his family are poor, they don't have much, whereas her family are rich, they come from money, they go to this particular location for, like, vacations. It's a vacation home that they've got, so it's not even their first home. I'm not sure if it's a plantation or not, or what it actually is, or if it is just a holiday home.
The one he buys is a plantation.
It's an old plantation that's been derelict, though, isn't it? But yeah, her family are the ones with all the help.
Yeah.
But it does say a lot as well that there are I don't think there's actually any black characters with dialogue either. Oh, there was one.
The maid has some lines.
Has one or two.
But
and then,
again,
in the present there as well, most of their help in the care home is all black help
even
as well.
in the help.
Yeah.
Even in the present day.
Yeah, all the nurses are black.
Yeah.
There's no white nurses.
Yeah.
And bear in mind that basically the house that they're being looked after in is the house that he rebuilds over the film. So it's an old plantation. And all the, let's say, help in that. Yeah, that is a dodgy look. Like, I didn't think of that.
Comparing this to Dirty Dancing, which for the audience, you're not getting Dirty Dancing until Thursday. This comes out on the Tuesday, but we actually recorded them the opposite way round. Because here's what those two films have in common. They are both about a well-off woman meeting a man from the wrong side of the tracks.
Yep.
Except, I'm not going to lie. I'm not saying I didn't like this film. I did like this film. Baby's family are way more likeable than Ali's family because there is no suggestion of them having help or anything like that.
I think
both films are set in where
in the South.
No. To be fair, it's up north. Dirty Dancing is. It's in like Vermont, isn't it?
Well, that would have been under the Union, not the
Confederacy.
Confederacy.
But to be fair, both the Confederacy was way gone by this point, but they're both set in the 1960s.
Yeah, but let's be honest, the mindset of the Confederacy still lingers in the South.
Yeah. But yeah, her family are hella hard to root for in this.
Yeah, I think her...
Plus, they never really get redeemed, whereas Baby's family get redeemed. Like, Jerry Orbach, 1, saves that woman's life.
Yeah.
And 2, admits when he's wrong with his bias.
He's not actually a negative character, though.
Yeah, whereas the family are very much negative characters in this.
Yeah, I mean, the mum is considered redeemed, but actually she's a bit of a bitch, to be honest. The dad never gets seen again. He's only in the intro. We never see him later in the film, I don't think.
No, he's only ever referred to.
Yeah, and, so he never has a chance at redemption.
Yeah.
But he's... Yeah, he never has he's clearly played as just arsehole.
So, very quickly, for anyone who doesn't know, basically, Ryan Gosling is a working class guy, lives with his dad, his mum's out of the picture. I think, is there a suggestion she's dead? Or
They
I
don't think they even mention her. Right. What this film does is when there's something weird, awkward, and it may be time relevant or not, it just glosses over it.
Yeah.
It does. It just goes, well, there's no mum, just get on with that. Right. There's black help in the present and in the past. Just get over it.
Yeah.
You know, it feels no need to pick apart its own story thread.
Yeah. But basically, he is working class. He's, a hard worker and seems like a good guy. But is very well aware of his station in life. He says later on, doesn't he? It's just not on the cards for me.
Yeah, because she's going to university, isn't she?
She's from a wealthy family. She's going to go to university. She's there for the summer. It's a bit like Grease. Summer loving had me a blast.
Yes.
They fall madly in love, as you do. And one day they stay out too late, till 2 a.m, and her parents call the police. This is where the class elements become very apparent.
Yeah.
They're like, he's trash. He seems like a nice guy, but he's trash, and he's not right for you. He's beneath you, etc., etc. He decides to leave her because he's sort of like, well, look, they're right. I'm never going to be able to give you everything you could have if you married someone in your own class.
Yeah.
This leads to an argument. She ends up leaving. He writes to her every day for a year, but her mum intercepts the letters.
And hides them.
And eventually he gives in, moves on, and he buys this old... he gets sent to war, first of all, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And loses his friend in like an explosion.
Yeah.
And
do anymore.
When he comes back, he is able to scrimp together enough money, thanks to his dad selling his house, to buy a rundown, abandoned old plantation house. Yeah. And it's been his dream to do up this house.
Yeah, before this point, he has brought McAdams there when it's still a derelict, and she's put her oar in, basically going, well, I want it
white with blue shutters.
Yeah, and like a porch that goes all the way around, and a room with a view that I can do my paintings from.
Yeah.
And yeah, so she's been there, but obviously not when it's complete. Yeah. He now buys the house, does it up, and he does it up with her spec in mind.
Yeah. Meanwhile, back in New York, where she's moved, she's in her 3rd year at uni, and she meets a new guy. I can't remember the guy's name, but the actor is James Marsden, Cyclops from the X-Men films, or Donut Lord from Sonic the Hedgehog. And they're going to get married. They're engaged. They're going to get married. It's all
Yeah.
fine. And then
They
one
meet
day,
in war because he's injured, and he asks her out on a date, and it turns out he's from money as well, isn't he?
yes. So the parents approve of him.
Yeah.
He's the heir to a massive manufacturing corporation, isn't he?
Yes.
And by pure chance, while she's trying on her wedding dress, she sees a copy of... Why would they be getting a paper from that local area?
Why would they be publishing a story about him rebuilding that house?
Like in a local paper,
globally. Yeah.
But she's in New
York,
York,
isn't she?
And he's in, like, the south somewhere. In a one-road town.
Yeah, it's meant to be like a workman's sort of hard area.
Yeah, it's not like a suburb of New York, because I
No.
could even then understand that.
Yeah.
If you're like, oh, well, this is a suburb, kind of like how in Mansfield you can buy the Nottingham Post.
Yeah.
Because it's the nearest big city.
Sure. But it'd be like being down here and picking up a copy of the Mansfield Chad.
Yeah.
It's like, why would that publish down here?
Yeah.
It's...
But anyway, whatever, they
Or
do.
the South End Echo in Mansfield,
Yeah.
to be fair.
But anyway, they get the paper, and in it is a picture of Ryan Gosling, and it says, oh, local man does up old house. And she's like, I've got to go back to him. I've got to go get in touch with him.
Yeah.
She goes back to him. They spend a romantic time together, all the kisses and the sex and all that.
Yes.
She gets mad at him. She's like, how come you never wrote to me? We could have saved this. He's like, I did write to you. And she's like, well, I never got your letters. Boom, the mum turns up and explains, yeah, I hid them all, blah, blah, blah.
Gives them back
By
to
the
her.
way, your dad has told your fiancé where you've gone, so he's going to be turning up here. And Rachel McAdams just kind of does nothing until all the pieces move around. Let me finish the plot before I start judging people.
Yep.
She ends up picking Noah. Obviously, we all saw that coming.
Yeah, she speaks to Donut Lord,
Yeah.
and I'm just going to call him Donut Lord.
There's no big fight. I was expecting there to be like an old-fashioned gentleman's duel.
Well,
type
he says that, doesn't he? He says, I could kill him, I could fight him,
Yeah.
or I could leave you. Either way, I don't get you.
Fair play to Donut Lord for being non-toxic.
Yeah. To be fair, to be fair, he's the one who comes off best in this film. Like certainly from that time period, because even though she cheats on him, he handles it like a boss.
When she asks to go, he's not like, where are you going? What are you doing? All he says is, are you okay?
Yep.
And when she says she is, he goes, then that's fine.
Yeah.
Go and do what you need to do.
Yeah. So this is the thing: is he is obviously a very good man. There's nothing toxic about him at all. She chooses a man that she argues with a lot, who she only really has had flings with as the man. And I think we'll get on to that in a bit with the social commentary.
Let's just wrap up with the last bit, which is while all this has been going on, this has actually got a wraparound story, which is two old folks in an old folks home, James Garner and Gina Rowland.
Yep.
And he's reading her a story, and the story he's reading her is the story of Noah and Ali. And what you're supposed to not know at first, but I called it literally right at the start, is this is the future Noah and Ali.
To be fair, they do signpost it a little bit by when they first go from the older couple talking, and then it goes into the past.
Yeah.
They're wearing the same visual colours of the outfits. So they do signpost it, to be fair. And they don't keep it a secret for long.
No. And basically, elderly Ali has got dementia. And elderly Noah has moved into the care home with her, even though he's relatively fine.
Yeah, he's also converted that house into a care home.
Oh, it's the same house.
It's the same house.
I did not pick up on that, I will admit.
Did you not? No, it's got the white walls and the blue shutters and the...
I didn't pick up on that. Fair play, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
And he reads this story to her over and over again because it sparks just enough of her memory that for a few minutes at a time, every few days, he gets her back.
Yeah.
For a few minutes. So let's talk about the film. I didn't hate the film. I liked the film.
Yeah.
It wasn't the touching romance that I've... Now, to be fair, this is overselling.
Yeah.
This is not a film I would consider a most romantic film of all time, like some people were doing
Yep.
All the emotion for me is in the elderly couple bit.
I agree with you.
And that's because I have got some experience in my family with dementia.
Same here.
I used to work in, I obviously work in a hospital. I used to work in the elderly medicine ward, and I typed letters for patients with dementia. I can honestly say I would rather get pretty much any other disease than dementia.
Yeah, it's terrifying, isn't it?
It's horrible.
You basically lose yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's horrible to see happen. My grandma went a little bit with dementia, and I went to visit her one time, and she literally looked at me and didn't know who I was.
Yep.
And that broke my heart. And this film made me remember that. Those two actors are phenomenal.
They are.
I mean, they've both had incredibly long careers.
Yeah, but I mean, they pull all the tricks out the bag to make that work.
Yeah.
It's got a really typical ending. Like, their bit is not a surprise. Oh, it's them. Oh, it is them and they're older. Okay, fine. And then they end up dying together, don't they? Hand in hand in the bed. It's very cheesy, over-sentimental. As they say, melodramatic ending in that sense. In that it's like,
gooey.
oh, I've got...
It's gooey.
Yeah, but... they sell it enough that it works.
Yeah, I've always argued. So gooey is an interesting thing. So sentimental. We had this argument on Jamie, Your Film Taste Sucks once, which is I don't see sentimentality as a bad thing.
No.
Don't get me wrong. I don't want every film to be this. Just like I don't want every film to be a superhero film. I don't want every film to be a western. I don't want every film to be a horror film.
You need to be in the mood for it, and you pick the genre accordingly.
I don't like when people immediately look down on a film for being sentimental.
I don't understand why you do that, because it is
it's part of the modern thing where emotions are embarrassing.
Oh.
The actual Noah and Ali story is good, and the acting's fine.
Mm-hmm.
They're both doing their accents pretty well, because it can be dicey when actors who are not Southern do Southern accents.
Yeah.
My thing is I did not find Ali a very interesting or likable protagonist.
Yeah.
She is very inactive.
She basically gets moved around by the waves of what everyone else is doing.
Things happen to her.
Yeah.
And even at the end, when Ryan Gosling says to her, do what you want to do, you have to make a decision.
She doesn't.
It looks like, to me, I don't know if the cut is meant to make you suggest that she made the decision, but it looks a lot like James Marsden makes the decision.
It does, yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because he sits next to her and goes, I don't want a fiancé who I have to convince
to love me. Yeah.
And that sounds like he's saying goodbye to her, to me.
Yeah. Now, because the answer is he says as well, he's only got 3 options and all of them lose her.
Yeah.
She's done that. By her actions, he has to make the decision for her. Because he could have just been like, well, you're mine, fuck you, and then gone there, smacked him in the face, like he could have beaten up Ryan Gosling, but never mind. But
he's fucking Cyclops, man.
He doesn't have the laser eye. He didn't get the laser eyes yet. That isn't until
You don't know that.
That's not until the early 2000s.
You don't know that. Don't you know that wasn't a special effect in X-Men?
No, that was just...
James Marsden can just do that.
I see.
Yeah, laser eyes.
Yeah.
It's like people...
Why didn't he take down Robotnik then?
It's like people think Hugh Jackman's claws are prosthetics. Nah, mate, that's Hugh.
Yeah, well, he's a method actor, isn't he?
Yeah.
So he got adamantium spines put into his hands.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I see your point. And I agree with you. She's probably... I think she's the character done dirtiest by the story. Because while I understand her kind of... It's kind of weird as well because basically the same thing happens to her. Because even in the older part of the story, she's basically being moved around by other people. Either by the nurses or by him. Or, something like... She's basically being moved around. And it's for her own good. And usually when it's someone who's older, you understand. It's like, well, because she's got dementia, we need to make sure that she's in a safe environment, blah, blah, blah. But you realise that she's been treated the exact same way in the younger portion. She never takes responsibility.
So in terms of how this is shot...
Yep.
And, like, the sets and things like that, I think this looks pretty good. There's some very good camera work in it.
Cinematography's lovely in this
lots
film.
of silhouetting, stuff like that.
The rain's nice.
The rain sequence is very... There is something about Hollywood rain... that's romantic.
I think it's very fine rain, isn't it, usually? So you can still see through it. But that's it. But it's
they
overly
put milk in
saturated,
it, don't they?
It? Do they?
Yeah, Hollywood rain, they put milk in it so that you can actually see it on camera.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah. We did it in. It was one of the few
semi-skimmed full fat.
Well, it was one of the few times I knew more about filmmaking than, say, Duncan.
Right.
When we were making The Lurking Fear, there's obviously a bit where there's meant to be a leak in the roof that's dripping through.
Yeah.
And we did a couple takes, and Benton just wanted... So that was Benton's first ever film he directed.
Yeah.
And he just wanted to drop it from a rain can. A watering can.
Yeah.
And we're dropping it, and I'm the one up on the ladder dropping it. And I'm thinking to myself, I bet you can't see this, because it's a dimly lit scene anyway.
Yeah.
So I go downstairs, we yell cut, and I go down the ladder, and I go to Benton, can I see the rush? And he shows it me. I'm like, mate, you can't see this rain. And he goes, what should we do? And I said, well, let's do what they do in Hollywood, which is mix milk in it. Just a little,
it would
not a
go
lot.
white, wouldn't you?
But then it shows up on the film.
Right. That's what it's reflecting.
The problem with
milk.
the problem with proper water is the light just goes through it.
Yeah.
But no, I liked some of the cinematography in this. I loved the shot where she walks into James Marsden's place of work, and it's just this huge, empty, cavernous space.
Yeah.
And it's like checkboard floor.
Yeah. And you look at, when you're British, you look at that and you go, that's 5 flats being wasted there.
Or it's the shed of Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, I know, innit? Jesus.
Or the bit where she's in the bathtub with her veil on. And the way the bubbles are, it looks like she's wearing her wedding dress as well.
Yeah, it's really smart.
At first, I thought she was in the whole tub with her wedding dress.
Yeah.
And she's just, like, turning the tap on and off with her foot.
Because she's obviously torn, isn't she?
Sound was great.
Oh, and the music's, like, it's a melodramatic soundtrack, but it swells nicely in the right places. It's a very good soundtrack.
So, here's my issue.
Yep.
What gives, Jocelyn?
What? Go on.
Why are you not raging right now?
Okay.
Why are you not setting this house on fire? Because everything McAdams does in this is the same thing John Cusack is doing in Serendipity.
Somewhat.
Engaged to be married, it's days before the wedding day,
Yep.
sees a picture in a paper, or in this case he finds that glove, doesn't he, that reminds him of her, and goes off searching for her.
Yep.
At least John Cusack breaks up with his wife before he stups Kate Beckinsale.
That is true.
So where's the rage?
So,
You gotta get angry. You gotta get mean.
Allow me to explain, because you are right. You are 100% correct. And it does, from just explaining it that way, it does seem hypocritical.
And sometimes it just is. I get it. Like, sometimes it just is.
Yeah.
Sometimes I could sit there and go, you could sit there and go to me, well, Jamie, why do you like, and I'm sure you will when we record it in a minute, well, Jamie, why do you like the physical comedy in Army of Darkness, but you don't like when Jim Carrey does it? And sometimes there is no reason.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just, I don't know, I just like it better this way.
Sure. Well, so to that explanation, number one, I don't want to get ragey anymore like I did on Serendipity. That was a very specific time when we recorded that. It was a lot earlier than when we released it.
Yeah.
And I was going through some shit, which I should not have brought to the team. Number two, I don't feel that I was explaining my artistic viewpoints well enough. So all of that. But anyway, moving on past the fact that I find Serendipity a bit of an embarrassment in terms of how much I was raging, I still, again, stick by everything I said as far as criticism of the film.
Yeah.
And the fact of why I was so angry with the narrative. So why is there an exception in this case? The reason is there's really not. I'm not saying there's no I'm not hypocritical in this, because you are right, I'm not raging, even when we watched it. Like, with Serendipity, even if I was calm in the recording, I was not calm when we were watching it. No. I was calm when we watched this. There was no point where I was like, that bitch! But I can explain it this way.
You just don't like James Marsden and don't care if he gets cooked.
He gets cucked in every film. To be fair, he does.
To be fair, it's like watching a Sean Bean film and not being shocked when he dies.
Yeah,
You're
it's like,
oh.
They killed Sean Bean? Not Sean Bean. In fact, the one time I was shocked by Sean Bean in a film was when he was in Pixels. He's an irrelevant character and doesn't die.
Oh, it's insane what a small part he is in Pixels.
Yeah, it's like you've cast a great actor.
Isn't he in like one scene?
Yeah, and the thing is, he's a general while they're getting attacked by the centipedes and doesn't die. And I'm like, that's the perfect reason to bring him in, is to kill him. Like, what are you doing?
Make it a meta joke.
Like, Adam Sandler got it so wrong, he didn't even kill Sean Bean. Anyway, the point is my favourite part of this, or the thing that really hits home for me, that makes me cry when I watch it, made me cry this time.
It's the old folks.
It's the older actors. I really like Ryan Gosling as an actor. He sells it to me. And to be fair, Amy McAdams is a good actress as well.
Rachel McAdams.
What?
Rachel McAdams.
What did I say?
Amy McAdams.
Did I? I'm sorry about that. I don't know where that came from. Rachel McAdams is a great actress.
Well, Amy McAdams is
real?
Amy Adams was Lois Lane in Man of Steel, which we've only just recorded as well.
Maybe,
so it's all blending for you.
Oh no, it's terrible. No, Rachel McAdams is a very good actress. I've seen her in many things, and she's always great. So the differences in this is that I don't think there's any narcissism at play.
Right.
He is drawn to her, Ryan Gosling's character. He genuinely loves her. And to be fair, I think I would be angrier if it wasn't for the older portions. I think that's something very...
I've just remembered, he's cheating as well. I know he says he does. I know he says that woman doesn't mean anything to him.
Yeah.
But still.
yeah, he's a scumbag as well on that front. I think the reason is this film does something very smart in the way that this film sets itself up that Serendipity doesn't do. Is that it shows you that they are the true romance, because we know they're together still so many decades later.
Right.
So you know that them being together is the right choice, despite the difficulties. Serendipity doesn't do any of that.
No, because there's no future portion.
No.
It's asking you to accept on faith.
Yeah, and to be fair, that's me getting played by the filmmaker, because it doesn't... The fact that happens, and that they are so good to each other that they stay together throughout all of time, which is beautiful in its own way, is really just a way to shoot and go, by the way, even though they're both cheating wankers, this is alright. And to be fair, I've been conned. You are right.
Nick Cassavetes was sat in the editing suite going, I'm going to get that Rory. I'm going to get that plumber.
But basically, I'll be honest, it's probably because... like any other film, young romance doesn't interest me. So, when I'm watching it, and I'm like, okay, well, they've both been cheating. But the other thing as well is he's been through trauma of war. So I forgive him a bit more. And to be fair, I do feel really sorry for the girl he's with. However, the one thing this film does better than Serendipity, and it was one of the positives you had for Serendipity, that this film, I think, does better, is that the people who are being cheated on...
are good people.
Yeah. They have no arrogance. Again, James Marsden and I don't know the actress's name.
I don't either, I'm afraid.
But they are both decent, open, honest, charitable people. In reality, those two are the best people in the film.
Oh yeah, well that poor war widow, you even get a scene where she's trying to make it more than just a sexual thing with Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, it's like when
she's
you look at me,
it's
like you're looking through me.
Yeah, she's like suggesting things they could go and do together, and he is literally just like, no. And that's fine, If both people are on board with that relationship,
but she clearly
that's
wants
fine.
more.
But clearly she wants more.
Yeah. The thing is it's because she's not the one, so he won't bother putting the effort in. So
I have to admit, I don't think there's a difference personally. But as you said, you like the way it's presented more.
The presentation of this is better.
This doesn't have Eugene Levy, though.
Anyway, the point is that's not the bit I came for, and it's not the bit that hit home and made me cry. The bit that hit home and made me cry is the future segment. Now, there's no cheating going on there. That's just two old people that have lived a good, honest, loving life together, if you ignore the part of the segment pieces, of course. But they've lived a long time together. They've had kids together. She's gotten dementia, and he's still there for her, even though it'd be easier for him to walk away and just leave her at the home. That part of it strikes me. And I'd like to think of myself as that guy who, if I found the woman of my dreams, if she had struggles and she had problems like that, I would be there to support and care for her no matter what. Again, that's probably an ignorant thing. There may be a point that I'm not aware of because I've not been in that situation where I have to cut off. Not everyone is strong enough to do that. But again, it's that thing where I would like to believe I'm that strong. And also where dementia has been involved in my family, I have, I'll be honest, not a huge amount, but I do have some connection to that disease.
Yeah.
And I'd like to, since this is a romantic episode, want to tell you about my granddad.
Okay.
My nan and granddad met during World War II.
Right.
In Denmark. My nan was Danish. My granddad was he worked for the RAF, but he was a driver, not a pilot. And after the war, he got stationed to stay in Denmark temporarily. Something very little known about World War II was once it was over and the Germans had surrendered and everything was given up, a small contingent of British troops were left in Denmark to make sure the Russians didn't invade.
Yeah.
They were basically a suicide squad.
Right.
Their job was, and my grandfather was part of this, their job was to basically, he said you could see the Russian fleet. It was huge. They had no chance. Their job was, if the Russian fleet decided to come closer and invade, they were to ring British headquarters and say the invasion has begun, let them know, and their job was to take a gun, run to the shore, and die trying to fight back as many Russians as possible.
Yeah.
There had been no hope. The size of that navy, they would have been wiped out immediately.
Yeah.
But that was their job. And my granddad has a lot of other war stories. I won't go them into here, but the reason it's relevant is, so they met while he was in Denmark. They became a couple. When he came home, she came with him. And she learned English. She learned the Queen's English, to the point where she got frustrated when other people didn't speak the Queen's English. Yeah. She was very proud of being British, even though, again, she was Danish in origin. They lived their whole lives together, and she died first. This is a couple of decades ago. They, were quite old by this point.
Yeah.
She died first, and then he got dementia.
Right.
And one thing I always remember about him, despite his dementia and forgetting certain things, he never forgot her.
Yeah.
And he would always ask, one of his big frustrations through dementia wasn't so much forgetting things, it wasn't so much anything else. His biggest frustration was that he was too well.
Right.
I'm not going to see her yet. I'm not sick enough.
Yeah.
And, it wasn't like he was trying to pretend to be sick. He was very fit and healthy physically, and he kept himself fit and healthy physically. But it wound him down emotionally that he woke up every morning and she wasn't there.
Yeah.
After a year or so, a couple of things happened, like a water infection, things like that. He was very old. He was in his 80s, I believe, at this point. He got unwell enough that he was in hospital. He was dying, right? And he turned to my dad, and they'd been told, he's incredibly ill, he's not got long left. He turned to my dad and he said, I'm sick enough now, aren't I? My dad was just like, yeah, you're sick enough now. And he smiled and he went, good, I can't wait.
Yeah.
And then for the rest of his stay there, which was only a few more days, he was having a laugh. He was the life and soul of the party for all the nurses in the hospital.
Yeah.
They loved seeing my granddad because he was just having a laugh with them. He was like, I'm going to see my wife soon. It's going to be great. And he died happy because he knew he was going to see her soon.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not you believe in an afterlife or anything like that, that sort of ending, that's why The Notebook connects to me.
Right.
It's not the Rachel McAdams finding herself behind her soon-to-be husband's back. I could not give a shit.
Yeah.
It's that.
Yeah.
That hits me every time.
Right.
So, yeah, it's a little romantic story, a slice of reality, and how it connects to this film.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I will give you my hypocrisy on forgiving the cheating in this film for that element of the film, which is obviously not the cheating itself. But yeah, you can't really say this film doesn't include cheating. Yeah. And I still like this film.
And to be fair, a ridiculous amount of romance films do.
Yeah.
Because as I explained as I said in Serendipity, the thing is, cheating is a fact of life. It happens. I think, to be honest, I don't want to sound pessimistic, I think it happens more now than it ever has done at any other point in history.
Definitely seems to, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, people have more access to it. As I said, I was talking to my friend Sophie the other day, and I said to her, like, once upon a time, before, like, the internet existed, and before, like, travel was such a big thing, you were limited to the people in your town.
Yeah.
Which meant word got around, things like that. Now, everyone has Tinder, Bumble, etc., etc., the internet, chat rooms, all sorts of things.
Well, I mean, even if you think the 90s, travel was easy.
Yeah.
But when you were at home, you were at home.
Yeah.
There was no... Like, whereas now, when you're at home, like, you can be on your phone behind your partner's back chatting to someone else.
Yeah.
As some people have done.
Yeah. So I don't get angry when I see cheating in films. It's just... Yeah, I think it's unfortunately that it is sometimes glorified in films.
It is very... that's what I felt about Serendipity.
Yeah.
Is that this doesn't really glorify it.
No, I think it gets done as a narrative device a lot because it's... Let's be honest, in a romance film, you're sort of limited in the ways that you can... What's the word I'm looking for? The ways you can put... what's the word I'm looking for?
Threat to the relationship?
Yeah, threat or antagonism in.
Yes.
Because you don't usually have an outright antagonist, not like, say, fucking the Joker or something.
The Joker... I mean, that would be an interesting... Just a romance film, but the Joker is the possible way of ending it.
So they add in things like, oh, well, actually, we're having to sneak around behind such and such as back. And that a lot of films, as we said today, and we said it in Serendipity, some films get around that by making the person that's being cheated on obviously a dickhead.
Yeah, I mean...
And being like, well, look, they're a bad person. They deserve this.
Well, one of the easiest ways of doing that, though they don't tend to do it in romance films because it's too hard-lined, would be to do something that's like in Once Were Warriors. You don't feel sorry that relationship has ended. You're like, oh, that poor Jake, he lost his wife because he's, domestically abusive.
Yeah.
So because of that, you're just like, fuck that guy, get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
She doesn't actually cheat, does she? She just leaves. But still, the point is if anyone did cheat on Jake the Mask, you'd be like, well, yeah.
So in like 3 to Tango, you don't feel bad that Neve Campbell and Matthew Perry are slowly falling in love because even though she's with Dylan McDermott, because you're shown multiple times throughout the film that Dylan McDermott is a cheating scumbag.
Yeah.
Because Neve Campbell is his mistress. She's not his wife. No, he's got a wife. She's the other woman.
Right.
And he is so jealous and possessive that he hires Matthew Perry, who he thinks is gay mistakenly,
right,
to hang around with his mistress to keep an eye on her and make sure she's not cheating on him with anyone else.
Right.
So it's okay for him to have 2 women,
but she can't.
not for her
She's
to have
got
2
to be.
men.
She's got to be monogamous. Yeah.
Yeah, but obviously where the mistake is Matthew Perry's character is not gay.
Yeah.
And he ends up falling.
That's
for
a
Neve
common
Campbell.
trope with Matthew Perry characters.
Mate,
oh my god, he's gay.
I'm not
no,
joking.
I'm not gay.
I like 3 to Tango. We're going to watch it at some point. But he is just playing Chandler.
Yeah.
It's the character's written like Chandler. He's just Chandler.
Fair enough.
And it's fine. It works. It's funny.
Yeah.
But he's just Chandler.
That's something that I will say about The Proposal as well.
Yeah.
No cheating.
No.
Not a single part of it, element in the story
Isn't the proposal, is that the one where Sandy B is rich and she pays him to date her or something like that?
No.
Or threatens to fire him if he doesn't date her or something?
So basically what it is she's a high-flying business exec, but she's Canadian.
Right.
It's ironic because she plays a Canadian, he plays an American.
But in reality, they're the other way around.
Yeah, she's American, he's Canadian. However, the type of American he is, it turns out, is Alaskan, which is basically in Canada. Yeah. But anyway, either way, the point is she's actually a Canadian. She can't be bothered to do any of the visa bullshit.
Oh, she wants a green card.
Yeah, and because she's let it expire for too long, she's like, oh, we'll just fill out the paperwork now and we'll get it done with. They're like, no, we need you to go home for a year and then apply again.
Right.
And then the company she's working for, like, well, if you don't have a green card to work in America, you actually legally cannot work for an American company either.
Right.
Which means that because she's like, oh, I can work, from home in Canada, remotely. And they're like, yeah, you can't legally work for an
So
American
it's a film
company.
that shows its age a bit, because these days it'd be like, yeah, you can work remotely.
Well, no, that's the thing. I think the issue in it isn't that it's the legality of her being Canadian and not having the right to work for an American business. Right. So she would lose her job. So he's her, basically her whipping boy. She gets him to do everything, run around for her. So she forces him to agree to marry her so she can get the green card. But he then uses that because he's written a book, a really good manuscript apparently, that she refuses to publish. So when basically when this comes around, he's like, okay, I'll do it, but you need to publish my manuscript, and he's using it to get what he wants out of it, and eventually it becomes a romance.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But the good thing about that is that no one needs to cheat.
Yeah.
You've got your antagonism is the fact that you've got not the FBI. Who's the one who deals with internal green cards and shit in America?
ICE.
I think it might be. But there's a federal officer who is on their back constantly trying to prove that they are faking.
Not a real company.
Yeah.
It's very similar to I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry.
Yes.
Which is an Adam Sandler, Kevin James film.
But a lot less offensive.
Yeah. Where they, well, I don't know because I haven't seen it.
I'm fairly certain Chuck and Larry is considered a bit offensive.
Oh, it's very offensive. It's lots of gay stereotypes.
Yeah. They Panic the movie.
They're pretending to be gay. I don't remember why now. It's something to do with Kevin James's wife has died, and for legal reasons he can't access her pension or something like that.
Right.
Or it's all going to get taken up. So for whatever reason, I don't remember what the reason is, they have to pretend to be gay for some legal reason.
Sure.
And Steve Buscemi is an agent of whatever department of the government whose job is to prove they're not gay. And this is where the offence comes in. Because there's a bit where they walk in on him poking through their trash. And he's like, it's not very gay trash. And they're like, what do you mean gay trash? And he's like, well, it's all like takeouts and things. Because, the stereotype is gays are super in shape and, look after themselves and things like that. Which is not, there's all types of gay people.
I knew a gay man who was very much not that.
And so it's like that. And then obviously the further complication is the lawyer that they hire to help them is Jessica Biel.
Right.
And obviously as soon as Adam Sandler lays eyes on her, he's like, gong.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's got some real problems in it, actually.
Yeah. Anyway,
maybe we'll do it one day.
Yeah.
We'll do a month of our most offensive movies.
Yeah,
anyway.
But, I mean, it would be interesting to find more romance films, rom-coms, that sort of thing.
I love rom-coms.
Yeah, that don't include cheating as the main mechanism for drama.
No, I need someone getting hurt. I don't think I actually have much more to say. I was fine with the performances in this.
Yeah.
Don't want to take anything away from them. They don't have the same chemistry for me that other rom-com couples have. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Cusack and Beckinsale in Serendipity, but to use Ryan Gosling himself, Ryan Gosling is in another film that we're going to do called Crazy Stupid Love, and he's also in La La Land, both times with Emma Stone. Phenomenal chemistry with Emma Stone in both movies. I don't know what it is about them two together, but they've got it.
Yeah.
Heat.
Some people just do as on-screen couples, as you say. Something smouldering about them, which
smoulder.
Yeah. Which, surprisingly enough, generally we try to avoid nowadays in modern movie making.
I know. It's so tragic.
It's like, I think, actually, to be fair, I'm not... some of it's avoidance, but I think not all of it is. I think some of it is just, I would like to work with this actor and this actor.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if they really smoulder off of each other in this scene or not.
I think what it is part of it, and this is where we sound old, polls that they have... You got to remember, we are aging out of being the ideal target demographic.
Oh, of course
in fact, you already have, I think. Because I think 35 is the cutoff, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm not far away. Gen Z, who are the ones coming into being the ideal target demographic, when they've done polls of Gen Z, romance plots are rated as the thing they least want to see in film.
That's really weird.
It's really sad. I'm finally starting to get to that age where I'm like, you youngsters don't know shit. Because I don't get it. I just don't get why you wouldn't want human relationships in your movies.
But hang on. Twilight was younger generation
No,
than me.
it's my generation, Twilight.
Right.
Twilight was massive with my
So
generation.
that's now aged out.
Yeah, Twilight's old as fuck
Because
now.
I was going to say Twilight is garbage.
Yeah.
And the
And
romance...
think about it. What's the modern equivalent to Twilight? There isn't one.
La La
Nothing's
Land?
replaced it. No. La La Land's a drama and it's tragedy. La La Land is. Yeah. Spoiler alert, they don't end up together.
Right.
There's no, like, tween franchise
Yeah, you're right.
that is based on romance. They tried to launch a couple.
No one's interested.
Things like, yeah, they've even tried doing LGBT ones to be like, oh, look, this is fresh. We didn't do this. Like, they did Love, Simon and stuff like that. No one watched it.
Right, they just want superhero shit.
People just want franchises.
Oh, people are garbage.
I think I read somewhere that 2023, because I think Barbie is the highest selling film of the year.
Yeah.
And it's the first time, I think someone said in 15 years, that the highest selling film isn't a sequel or a remake.
Yeah, but it's still a big franchise brand.
Yeah.
It's a brand name, should I say, rather than a franchise.
Yeah, it's not fully original IP, is it?
No, even that, because if it was like, I don't know, they called it Melanie, and it was a fictional toy line.
Yeah.
You're telling me it would have gotten as many views as Barbie, even if it was
Absolutely
exactly the same
not.
film?
Because
No, of course not.
Barbie got a lot of views from people who didn't know what the film was going to be. Because I know them. I knew girls who were like, I'm going to go watch it because, I played with Barbie as a kid.
Yeah.
I see Barbie. And I was like, oh, that's cool. It's not going to be that.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean? And I was like, it's Greta Gerwig. She doesn't make that kind of film.
No, she doesn't make typical girly films.
No,
does
she makes these feminist dramas, basically. Nothing wrong with that, of course. By all accounts,
No, but
Barbie's
it's
very
not
good. I haven't
It's
seen
not what
it
they
yet.
were expecting, I would imagine.
Yeah. But anyway, anywho.
Yeah, sure.
I don't really have much more to say about The Notebook.
No, I like The Notebook. It is definitely a flawed film. It is very much paint by numbers in certain elements and a little over dramatic. Certainly that they die together. And yeah, I'm a little bit of a
The
hypocrite.
classism is really heavy-handed in it as well.
Yeah, it is. But yeah,
I'm not saying that's a bad thing necessarily.
Well, no,
but it's very
generally-
heavy-handed.
Yeah, I mean, again, they gloss over things quite a lot, and then like we're supposed to just accept. There's no subtlety in this film in any way. Again, melodrama. Whoever made that review and called it melodrama is 100% right.
Yeah.
But it is very beautiful to look at. It sounds incredible. The performances are very, very, very good.
Yeah.
And for me, the adult sections still land. I forgive the cheating segments because at least they're not the bit I'm focusing on. But you are right, that does make me a smidge of a hypocrite.
Yeah. I'm just busting your chops.
You can bust my chops.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for another episode of Second Take Cinema. Thank you so much for listening. Please do like, share, subscribe, all the usual stuff that people ask you to do on the internet. Do not send money to the Prince of Nigeria. It's a scam. Always a scam, remember that. I've been seeing ones lately where it's like, hi, I'm Michael Jackson. I'm actually still alive. Send
I
me
saw
money.
a couple of them.
You're like,
Like-
dude, don't fall for it.
How desperate is that?
How bad is it? Do you know what? If someone falls for that one, they kind of deserve to be robbed.
Yep.
You can also listen to our sister show, VGMP, the Video Game Movie Podcast, which is another film analysis podcast with a slightly more comedic bent, focusing specifically on video game movies, ranging from everything from Sonic the Hedgehog to Super Mario Brothers to Final Fantasy, Silent Hill, Resident Evil, Legend of Zelda, the animated cartoon. Well, excuse me.
Which is based on Steve Martin.
In The Jerk.
Yeah.
See? It's garbage. It's terrible. Don't listen to that one.
But we do also have some really good stuff. Some of it, which is indie, like Black Heaven, which is one of the best ones. Something
Fatal
that
Frame.
Yeah, there's ones by people like David Cronenberg in Existence.
We liked Uncharted. I know it weren't super popular with the general public, but we didn't mind it, did we?
No, it was a bit of good fun. It wasn't, it's not going to last with you as a piece of cinematic history, but it's fun enough.
But anyway, yeah, that's VGMP, so feel free to check that out, and we will see you next time on Second Take Cinema.